Hi guys, this is Sydney. So right now I feel cool to be on camera to share kind of like a little update for the Lionsgate portal this year. And also Source and Gaia wanted me to share about this Lionsgate portal is a culmination of the energy that we've been working since this year is 26. So 25, 24. Um, so I'm just going to share intuitively whatever that comes in this divine timing. So right now I was guided to come to this particular place that I've never been. That I saw this place and it just left a mark when I was passing by like a couple of days ago. And then this morning, I feel called to come here. So I guess this is a spot they wanted me to be here. It's pretty serene and surrounded by art and stuff like that. So I got my drink, so I'm going to drink and share as if I'm just talking. We are chatting, meeting up, or something like that. So you can get your own drink if you feel cold to. Um, so the first thing that came yesterday was suddenly the 808, 818, and then 888. And this year, for some reason, I started to receive the energy of golden lion. A lot of the golden energy started to come through a couple of days ago. Not a couple of days ago, a few days ago. A lot of the like phoenix rising energies, golden lion energies. Um, but this energy was not present during the Lionsgate portal in 2024 and 2025. So they wanted me to share. So all of a sudden, I start to go back to 2024 Lionsgate portal, 2025 Lionsgate portal. So in 2024, I was in Cambodia, the Siam Reap. I was guided to go there to connect with the energies in Angkor Wat at the time. And I remember the moment that I stepped outside of where I was staying in that building, I felt called to look up. And then I looked to the sky and there was a huge rainbow portal. That it was just so in front of me and it was huge and I was like shocked for a second. And then I remember, I don't know whether I took a photo. I think I took a photo of it. And then I just stood there and connecting with it. And then I started to walk out. And I wanted to check whether it was only that spot or from the other spot as well. But it was gone after a little while. And then at the time, the 808 was coming through. And then in 2025, I was guided to go to be in Hawaii. I believe it was Hawaii. Was it? I can't remember whether it was Hawaii. But for some reason, I saw that rainbow portal again in Hawaii, in Honolulu, when I was guided to be there at the time. I was standing in line to get some like fruit juice, and then all of a sudden I felt called to look up, and I was the only one looking up in the middle of a very busy street, and I saw a rainbow portal again, and it wasn't as big as when I saw that in Cambodia, Siem Reap, but it was very, very clear, very apparent. But it was interesting. Nobody was looking up. I was the only one connecting with it. So at the time when I just arrived, the day after, yeah, I think it was Hawaii during Lionsgate Portal. I got to Hawaii and I started to walk where I was feeling cold to, which is always guided. And then all of a sudden, it was the day after I arrived or something like that in Hawaii. And then I felt cold to just stop and go into this like little park area and then sit on the tree. And then all of a sudden, these light codes start to come through and all this energy of other beings started to come through, and I was recording and I was sharing that video. So that video is somewhere. And then since then, number 818 started to come through, which I gave a transmission on my Patreon. So it was for the Patreon members as I was guided. So I share that transmission on Patreon. And this year, before coming to Bangkok, when I was in Tokyo, Japan, I start to see 888, 8888, 88888, 818, 808, a lot of eights since July. And then just a couple of days ago, for some reason, they had me connect with 2024 with 808, 2025 with 818, 2026 with 888. And I didn't know what that meant yesterday. And then this morning, that came to me once again, and I was kind of reflecting on it. And then all of a sudden, I could get the message, I could put it together, consolidate, that we've been preparing for this Lionsgate energy since 2024 is what is coming for me to share. That during 808 represented 0 in the middle, represents infinity, but also new beginnings. So there was a new beginning energy that was very much present with the 8-8. And then initiation, which is 818. When I was in Hawaii in 2025. So the one representing like the progression from 0 in that sense. And all of a sudden, it's not 828 or 838, it's like 888. So I was sitting with that, and it meant we are ready. So that energy is coming through right now. That message just came through. We are ready. We have embodied the last 3 years to recently we had this very rare celestial transit where a lot of planets in fire and air signs. So basically we've been working the past 2024, 25, 26, almost like 3 years to step up, to embody our authentic self, meaning elevate your frequency, sort of level up, bring any emotional baggage, karmic baggage out, remove them, and then be your own self. That was the preparation. So Ooh, this 888 is a very strong energy. I didn't see any like rainbow portal like directly like that, but that's so in 2024 what I'm getting is 2024 was the first time that gate opened up. So that's why I was seeing it. I was connecting with the portal. And then since then, 2025 was like kind of a mid period where we were working on embodying our true essence or becoming more of yourself. And to do that, you need to open up your heart. That means you need to heal yourself. That means you have to look into your shadow and take accountability, as everything is your energy, instead of being an illusion that is not yours because you're scared. And even though it's your energy, you're like, I'm not owning that. So you're always feeling depleted. You're always feeling like you need to chase after, you need to get it on someone who someone's energy feels more affluent in that sense, not in a material sense, energy sense, right? So that's why a lot of the times people want to hook on other people's energy and get their energy. And that's why all these words in spiritual community like destiny swappers, all these things are coming, deriving from, right? Which simply means that they're trying to get your energy, be in your energy. But the thing is, you can't take someone's destiny. You can't replace someone's soul purpose or soul mission or that unique signature. But it's just that they're trying to, because they're trying to survive, because they're in survival right now. They're constantly in fight. So that's where this struggle comes in for the other party, and also the people who are in a high vibrational state. They need to constantly stay discerning and cleanse their energy, protect their energy, however it is that you resonate on earth at this time. So we call that a game right now, because they think they don't have the power. That's why they're trying to pull on other people who seems to be more powerful, or take them down, basically, or they get that urge to do that, the trigger. So that's why we're all these words like, I need to chip in on it. I need to chip in on when someone's doing well, someone's being successful, someone seems to be lucky all the time. They're like trying to get into that person's vicinity or interact with them, or so-called old people coming back to connect with you, connect back with you, or get in touch with you. It's all about the energetic cords that they're trying to get. They're doing this subconsciously most of the times. Some people who are in a very low vibrational state with very heavy karmic energies may do this intentionally with strategic approach. So they're not doing this unconsciously. They know what they're doing, and they're doing this intentionally. So that's where their karma gets heavier and heavier without them realizing. So as some of you may be already aware that so-called, the reptilians and a lot of the conspiracy theories and all these races, they were cut off source, cut off that energy connection to source. That's why they go around and they're like pirates is what is coming, stealing, and That's how a lot of people are operating on Earth at this time. Earth is a very low vibrational place, and a lot of that mentality still heavy right now. So I don't know, somehow I just feel really like feeling laid back a little bit. I'm just going to speak on whatever that's going to come. But the message that had me like this strong urge since yesterday to share this about 808, 818, 888 was yesterday. So this 888 represents infinity, infinite potentiality that I kept sharing on Shorts video, which is all divinely guided messages. Despite how it appears, there's a message and codes on every Shorts that I create with the divine. So that message has been coming through, but it's different this time. It's more like souls who've been working on it has been ready, having ready to now embrace more of their essence of who they are, meaning remembering their soul aspect, merging with their higher self. So I've been sharing this on and on the past, during this time since 2024, 25, 26. And I remember in July of 2024, I was guided to go to Bali, and there were a lot of information. I had to like connect to the Lemurian portal there. And then I was fasting just with coconut water for 3 days, which is not something that I forced myself to do, but I felt called to do it around the 7/7 portal at the time. And I remember just walking barefoot on the beach, along the beach line. I was walking for about an hour, connecting with the earth, the water, the energy there, and that was what I was feeling called to do. And when I went to Cambodia around that 8/8 portal, all these spots, I don't plan to go there on a specific date. Just on the day, if I feel called to go, I just go. Nothing really is planned, and I don't know where I'm gonna be the next day or the next hour. And so even though I was in Siem Reap, but I didn't know whether I was meant to be in Angkor Wat. If I'm not meant to be in Angkor Wat, I don't go there. So for example, when I was guided to go to Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia to connect with the Lemurian energies back in the day, all I did was just walk around. I never did any tourist thing, even though there were a lot of people just going on snorkeling and taking a boat ride, and I was connecting with the sunset energy almost every day. And then I remember this guy who was there, like a kind of a guards. He noticed me that I'm outside connecting with the sun or the sunset at certain hours, and all of a sudden one day he came to me. It's like, why don't you go why don't you go snorkeling or do something, other things? And then he was like in broken English, and it was so funny because how did he know that I didn't do any of these activities? That I was not there to do those things. I was there to connect with the codes of the ocean there, where the place I was staying at was overlooking it, and I could see the different islands and the sunset. And so it was really funny that so we had this short conversation. He was very sweet, and he was just curious that I didn't know he was aware of me being there. But I guess he was, because I was there like every day pretty much. Not for long, but just doing some like light stretching and looking to the sun. And so that's just coming to my mind. So that's how I've been moving. And then in Siem Reap, one day I was called to book a tour. I have to book it in advance to get the entrance ticket. And I chose to go around without a guide, but just a ride, because it's a huge place. And I went there like early in the morning because I felt called to connect with the energy of the sunrise. And they opened it up when the sun came up. I think it was like at 6 o'clock or something. So we had to like start at 5 or 5:30 or something like that, just to, get to make it to the 6 o'clock entrance. And that day, I just felt called to get my contacts off, to connect with the sun better. I wanted to take my shoes off. So basically, I was there like half a day, like, I don't know, maybe 3 hours, a little bit more than that, less than 4 hours. And I was walking all around barefoot. I just took my shoes off and just walked around connecting. And then while I was doing that, all these orbs started to come through, and I was connecting with their energy, with different like archangels. And at the time, was it our Arcturians or something like that? So I was connecting heavily, and I was touching all the structures and the stones and the temples, connect with the energy whenever I was feeling called to. And at that time, I was fasting for 3 days. I was feeling cold to, just with coconut water. So coconut water is a little bit easier from my experience of fasting than just not drinking or doing it with just water. So that I don't get dizzy or I don't get too weak to go around. So it was very much available at the time, so I was able to do so. And there was a purpose. And particularly when I was in Cambodia, that Siem Reap, the energy was very intense. So it was one of the hardest energies, the challenging energies that I needed to navigate through. After in 2023, when I was in Penang, Malaysia, where my energy started to connect with Gaia, and then I had to open up my throat to connect with the Gaia and the source, and that's when my light language started to come through. It's like tuning a radio. So I did that that was like the hardest time, most difficult, challenging times. Back then, I almost had no sleep for 4 weeks because the energy, I had to tune in to the energy of Gaia and source. And for some reason, I had this sharp, kind of migraine-like pain that was hitting this spot or this spot. It was like as if the razor was hitting certain spots of my brain. at the time that it was so painful that I could almost like, I couldn't eat, but I just try to eat to survive basically. And at first I thought, am I getting sick or something? But intuitively, I knew there was some sort of tuning going on. But it was a very challenging time. And then I remember I was guided to go to Bangkok after that. And intuitively, I had sensed that it was only in this time, only in this place. The moment I go to Bangkok, it's gonna disappear. But it was so painful. It was like extremely, extremely painful. But then there were so many messages for the future timelines that were coming back then. So I received a lot of the messages for future timelines. That's not even right now, but like way further. That at the time I wasn't sure whether what's this, and I needed to integrate those information. And then also it was connecting with the information until now. So I don't know why I'm also guided to share these things, but I'm just going to. Yeah, so back then I remember like I try to like control this, but I couldn't. I is it because the blood flow is not reaching to my brain or something, and I try to figure everything out, but it's just out of my hands. So I try to do yoga poses and try to like eat some salt to, I don't know, like sea salt or with water, or nothing really worked. But that was extremely painful physically. And then in Cambodia, when I was in Siem Reap, around that time that I saw that portal. After that, I think after that, in Cambodia, I think I was guided to go to where was it? Malaysia? Malaysia. Yeah, I think I was guided to go to Penang, Malaysia. And there, when I arrived at the place that I was guided to stay, the day after I stepped out in the day, during the day, and I was waiting for my ride to come, and I looked up to the sky as I was feeling called to. I saw that that rainbow portal again. So it's all like in connection. So 2023, back in 2023, they gave me the information about the rainbow portal, the rainbow bridge, the ark, the ark of the Noah as a symbolic message, and the Moses as a symbolic message. They gave me all the keys and clues of what's to unfold. Okay, so what is coming is the next 10 years is what is coming. And so I'm going back to those times to kind of key in all the clues from this moment or this time that I'm getting certain information, more like details or something like that. I integrate back, and I get a deeper understanding, and I share that, where we are, where we are heading, and what's to happen next, so that we can get prepared. So there were a lot of different timelines that I shared about, and all of a sudden this morning, that timeline of the doomsday scenario that I've been sharing the past, I don't know, maybe 2 years, when from time to time, whenever the message came, especially with the AI and all these tech timelines, and it just came again for some reason. So we need to pay attention to those timelines, is what is coming for me to share. And also, was it a latest video, or the 2 videos before, I shared about the John F. Kennedy, how the parallel timelines are affecting the current timelines. So the energy of Oppenheimer has been coming through the past 2 years very consistently, and was being highlighted in certain times more than others. That was relating to the World War II and Einstein, and who was the president back in the day in US. What's his name? So that energy started to come through once again this morning, all of a sudden. Oppenheimer, and then Star Wars. And then, okay, they want me to share this. So right now, the reason why it's so important that we need to embody our authentic self is way to get out of our ego. And the more you embody your authentic self, means less you are restrained and restricted, or feeling restricted. That means you're outside of the matrix, you're out of the conditions, because you've been working with the illusions, shadow. And the moment I arrived in Bangkok about 2 weeks ago, I start to receive the message of matrix. And then I didn't know what that meant. And then few days ago, suddenly I got the message. I was able to consolidate that matrix represents the mother consciousness energy, and patterns represents the father conscious energies. So mother and father, the feminine and the masculine wounds. So when you work with patterns in your DNA structure or cellular structure, you may have a lot of the generational or the bloodline karmic energies from your fathers, or the father consciousness, the divine masculine consciousness, maybe very much present, which has to do a lot of, like the controlling essence, or certain narcissistic tendencies related to the masculine trauma. But this time, during this 8-8 portal, what was highlighted was very much the matrix energy, the mother consciousness energy, that which have been surfacing since July is what is coming. So July, we worked very heavily during the 7-7 portal of the spiritual awakening, or something coming to an epiphany of some sort relating to, in this life, you could translate as some of your mother wounds if you resonate. Like, look, you can look, what is coming is like your moon sign, how the relationship with your mother in this lifetime, that represents, that holds some of the clues that you can work with for your mother trauma or wounds, or the at large divine feminine wounds. And that energy was very much present this year. And this mother energy, or the matrix energy that we are working with during this Lionsgate portal, okay, what came up was like, I think on the day or the day before the 8-8 portal, so 8th of August this year, all of a sudden I got the message with the chicken laying the egg. So before, for the past 12 to 14 months, it was more about the chicken and the eggs message, huevos in Spanish. So this message been coming ever since I was connecting with the energy of Peru very heavily when I was guided to go there. And Peru, Lima, Cusco, and also Colombia, Brazil, not so much, but ever since I got to Peru, it start to come through. Huevos and queso, which means cheese, pizza. It's all like symbolic meaning. So I got the message. And masa madre, meaning sourdough bread, like the sourdough. So that day I received a message all of a sudden, and I think on that evening or the day after, I received a message that it's about the now, like the chicken laid the eggs, and what are we going to do with the eggs is a question that we need to ask as a humanity, as the collective, is what is coming. Breaking the eggs, and then what are we going to do? Are we going to hatch the egg, or are we going to break the egg, and are we going to cook the egg, or like just in so many different timelines. So what is coming is so many different timelines of possibilities of, oh, okay, this, I'm getting chills. So this portal right now, the reason why it's 888, so we are on the verge of a very important time period in Ascension. So it's almost having me like a little bit like, the energy coming, and then it makes me a little bit crying right now. It's not because I'm sad, but there is some sort of energy coming. So it could be individuals, or it could be like also certain individuals connected to this Ascension timeline. And for Earth at this time as well, from the big energy is coming right now. This is why the reason why the 812, the solar eclipse is going to change everything, okay? So the message that is coming, it's going to change everything, literally. That's the energy of the 888. It's making me cry. Like the energy is rushing through so much. Because it represents all possibilities. In 808, 818, we've been progressing. It opened up, initiated with 0 in 2024. 2025, we were reaching a midpoint, working very hard for the 12 months. And then now, another 12 months, we are finally ready to open up new timelines. Open up new parallel timelines as well is what is coming. This is so big. This is like so big for humanity as well. And this is with the splitting of the earth that's related, that I've been receiving the message maybe like ever since I got to Bangkok. But I didn't know the connection to this 888 this year during the Lionsgate portal. And the further split is going to happen. Well, this time it's happening in the physical realm is what is coming. The split is affecting the physical reality. Once this happens, you're not to go back to the old physical reality anymore, or any of those experiences or the people, even though they try to connect back or you try to go back, you can't. All the emotions coming. So what is coming is like the final goodbye is what is coming. You're saying final goodbye. That's what it meant by it's going to change everything in after the solar eclipse is what is coming. So this is So that's why right now I just got very emotional. All of a sudden I got really sad just thinking about parting with the old, like human emotions of like sadness and like longing. And so what's coming, the source and Gaia is coming through right now. This is the past since the 8/8, the day on the 8th of August this year. You may have been feeling a little bit of old, not old, but like situations, or maybe more like in a way testing you. Like these little things of negativity, not your energy, but all of a sudden is helping you to look at them once again. I'm just going to clean up. Look at these energies once again. For you to release something or to really part ways, say goodbye to the old. So it could be different for every individual. It could be, and it may come with a lot of sorrow, and usually on earth, on human experience, okay, what is coming is attachment or desire means sorrow. Do you get that? It's a little bit like there's a deeper energy behind the simple sentence. Attachment, so it could be any attachment. It means sorrow. So you could attach to your favorite pillow if you were when you were a child. If you could attach to your favorite jellycat, or you could attach to your favorite clothes or rings or accessories or jewelry or your bag or shoes, whatever that you attach to, or it could be attached to a person, right? It represents sorrow. It means sorrow. It comes with sorrow. So that's why I felt all these emotions right now when I said last goodbye, meaning the energy of attachment representing the sorrow. So I was feeling it like really sad all of a sudden and emotional. And then just I cried. That's representing the sorrow. Deep sorrow when you need to separate yourself from this attachment. And that is really important right now for individuals who may be resonating to this particular message, or you may be going through this, experiencing as a pioneer group. But if you're watching this but you're saying, but I'm not going through this, it could be for your future timeline is what is coming. So you could reference it back when you experience this, knowing, I remember now. I just suddenly remember this is what I'm going through, and you're gonna be okay, is what is coming, that they want me to share this. So after that release, so right now what's coming is you may have been feeling a little bit like you weren't sad, but something needed to be released, whatever that was, more like you wanted to cry, or you were very emotional. It's to purify, it's to further cleanse that matrix energy of attachment. Usually when you are born in this life, you come through the energy of your mother. You have that you're attached to her umbilical cord and her energy and everything she consumed in words, thoughts, surroundings, and what she consumed as foods, everything you were connected to, and it forms certain traumas. You carry her trauma as well, right? It's all delicate design, so that once you release this huge attachment energy to anything material is what is coming. So enjoying the material world and attaching to the material world is a completely different game. You could be surrounded with so many beautiful material things, but if those things own you, you get attached to them, you are in prison. So it doesn't matter whether you're a billionaire, trillionaire, however you resonate with these terms. If the money owns you, you become a slave. You are in pain and suffering, despite how you appear on the outside. So the energy right now is to clear this all out from the Gaia's energy field, and also for individuals who've been working diligently since 808, 818, 888, this portal, which represents you coming on as an authentic self, that Leo energy within you, of that authentic, genuine expression of who you are without the ego, meaning you have merged with your higher self to co-create. And then with the North Node in Aquarius, you have been prepared to embody this in order to help serve the humanity at a larger scale is what is coming. Okay, so this is all on your soul contract. So all this has been already written and designed before you came to this life. So there may be a lot of energies trying to get the good out of you, so-called, is what is coming. They can try, but they can't get to you, is what is also coming. Because Gaia and Source will not let that happen. They need these souls, individuals, to work on the frequency to help humanity. But when someone's in an ego state, even though they know, they're triggered. They will feel triggered to attempt. And it's not them. It's like an automatic survival response. So all these things are going to play out, but they're moving out of the physical reality sense. Meaning, I share this a lot of the times for the past 2-3 years, that the physical reality, you may see those people physically, but now more and more and more, and this time with 888, you will never see them again in your physical reality. They may see you online or through other whatever, but physically, materially, like touching and sensing kind of sense, timeline, oh my God, okay. Ooh. After the solar eclipse is the initiation point for that timeline split, the complete full split. Oh, the word that comes is like full split spectrum. I don't know why that spectrum, prism is coming. The energy of prism. And then by the time we reach the lunar eclipse this month, it's going to complete. And then from then, there will be no physical, they cannot be. The earth cannot. It's splitted energetically. Whew. But the role for these groups who are on the new earth timeline, so-called, still can have an effect on this other group of souls who are still like triggered and playing their shit out, or basically like the karmic patterns out. Still trying to give them a chance, trying to help them still that way, because they can see your life changing. They can see you, how you live. They can get inspired, or they can stay triggered. So that's going to still be in effect. But from this 2026 Lionsgate portal and the lunar eclipse. Once that point ends, oh my God, you will never ever in this lifetime will cross paths with them on a physical level. Whew, that's how the earth split is taking place really rapidly, is what is coming for me to share. The Gaia really wants me to highlight that. The speed is at a lightning bolt is what is coming. So that energy of, what is it? The lightning has been coming through very heavily ever since I got to Lima, Peru. So that was like, I don't know, maybe like almost a year ago or 10 months ago or something like that. And when I was in Hong Kong, the lightning bolt energy started to, like energy of Thor was starting to come through again very heavily. And it meant this time the 888 portal, which is the 888. It's a full cycle of the infinity. Before it was 0 like this, 1, now it's a 888. And the energy of Sphinx has been coming through quite a bit ever since I got to Bangkok. That's not literally the energy of Sphinx, the representation of the lion's energy or the feline family or the feline energy of puma, cheetah, jaguar, all kinds of cats, lion, tiger, that I've been connecting heavily ever since I was in Lima during the Andes. That the spine of the Kundalini of the earth, the jaguar spirit has been coming through very strongly. That represented, at the time I received the message that the ancestors are coming back, meaning the support of the ancestral energies that I've been connecting heavily with different civilizations like Aztec and Maya and all those ancestors, Native Americans, from even like Vikings and Celtic. They're all coming through in the front line to support this Earth timeline split. They have been working together with Gaia, is what is coming. So that message that was very strong the past few days was, when we look at all the civilizations, especially the Atlantis, the fall of Atlantis, always it was the scientist, always it was the science that created this massive destruction for civilizations to end. And they had to start from 0 again. So there were like Ice Age and everything. And so that the energy of dinosaur has been coming through very strongly with the matrix energy ever since I got to Bangkok 2 weeks ago. So it's like that archaic energy coming through again, meaning that ancestral wisdom, and that represents oneness, that we are one family, we are all connected, the nature. But when the science is at the forefront, the ego is at the forefront. You see what I mean? Ego representing an individual's, a man's ambition. You see? That's why I kept sharing about the message of ambition, attachment, the past, those time, like especially so in the last 12 months, that we needed to raise our consciousness on how we praise ambition, how we promote ambition, still to this day now. So right now, what is happening is a lot of chaos in a lot of different industries, and especially what came up was what's going on in the entertainment industry. So recently there was a huge news about there's a big K-pop group called BTS, and I didn't name them, but I know that they are starseeds. Their individual energies have been coming to me in my dream time ever since 2018. Even back then, when I didn't really know them or was into them that much, or interested in their music or whatever back then. And I recognize in my dream time their energy signature. And recently, since I was in Tokyo, their energy started to come through very heavily again. They had me see their like live talk and everything to connect with their energies once again, that I haven't been doing for many months all of a sudden. And what happened was recently they were working very hard to win the Grammy. So their ambition, their goal was that, the perception, the consciousness is the standard of excellence, or the recognition is when you win the Grammy. So that's how the Grammy established their influence, or the power, centralized power and authority over every culture, entertainment culture at this time. But that their organization, or that award, is tied to a lot of the dark force energy, so called. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes there as well. But the people in Korea, they have no idea. But for example, the Korean people have this consciousness where they look up to America. Because we were the country, like the poor country after the Korean War, and then US Army came in to help. And there are a lot of stories, right, that US armies were giving out foods to the children, and stuff like that. So we kind of like thank the Americans in a way, like culturally, and then also that's kind of heavily embedded in our culture. And whatever that's American, we used to like worship or think is higher or superior or better. And that mentality still exists in our DNA, or in the collective consciousness, especially with the energies of the Korean people, or the Korean culture, the culture codes. So they used to often talk about like it's their ambition, right? That to be recognized finally is to win the Grammys. But the past 2 years, 2 times, they were nominated and they were called to perform there, because they just basically have a huge fan base all around the world, very well organized. Um, and so Grammy used that to gain traffic, and to basically use them for their marketing purposes. But they didn't win. And this time, all of a sudden, they announced that they created the best Asian Artist Award or something like that. And so what BTS did was they chose not to apply for Grammys this year because it has nothing to do with getting the recognition, and it's about enjoying connecting with their fans and audience and singing. And so that's how they kind of elevated their consciousness a little bit. Now their energy signature shifted when I tapped into there are a little bit of bits and pieces of performances that my spirit team Source and Gaia had me connect with. And so they're stirring things up. And even though Grammy said, we are sorry and we respect your decision, the next day or so, they took their performance video down. They deleted from their website or something like that. So people cannot see that anymore. And so that's like kind of a retaliation, backhanded retaliation. And now, like today, this morning, all of a sudden, I received a message that this other big Korean entertainment company called JYP, they received the recognition or the voting rights to Grammys, together with two other groups from that entertainment company. They're very popular, have a huge fan base around the world. One boy group, one girl group. And after the Grammys took down their BTS performance video from their website, from not, removing the access as a retaliation, even though they said they respect, they do not, right? It's like, you challenge our authority, we're gonna show you. It's like that's their action in a way. And then all of a sudden this article came up, and then after that it was interesting. Netflix took advantage of the situation and then they started to post the BTS video on their channel. So it's kind of a whole messy game right now. It's like, I know Netflix and Disney channels, they're not pure. There are a lot of things going on behind the scenes. But they are it's interesting. It's like, oh, there goes our opportunity. The Grammys now taking off their video to retaliate. Now we're going to take advantage of the situation and get our exposure, right? So that's how the business world works, basically. This is not just, the game, a new game, but it's just so funny and interesting how they're making these moves right now. And it's kind of creating a lot of chaos and confusion, and people are usually dividing in two, because right now the reason is because they're heavily looking into the shadow of the duality, the dualism of things. Everything, there's like a kind of a controversial issues or controversy about something. Opinions divide in two. That's what that they have me see, like in patterns. Well, yeah, it's possible, like I'm still thankful that they're doing this, or how can they do this? So just like 2 days ago or something like that, there's another big girl group, K-pop girl group. They had a 10-year anniversary on the 8th of August. So they debuted on that day. And even though it's usually the 10th anniversary for like a lot of the K-pop, in K-pop traditionally, they really care for their fans. and it also created a lot of like, what is it, addictions and stalkers and all these like dark energies also present as well, because that's what the individuals are holding. But usually the relationship is quite tight, and a lot of times it's very genuine. That's why this industry grew a lot. But now it came to a point where codepending, which needs to be worked with, it's like this. When you had nothing, you appreciate every little fan that you get, and then now you have huge fan base around the world. You're so afraid of losing them if you do something, or if you're not making the perfect move or something like that. So a lot of the K-pop idols, so called, they're holding that pressure, and they have talked about this in a lot of the Korean shows. um, and so there's a lot of that energy now, and this needs to be released, which is also related to the energy of attachment. When you're attached, you can't create authentic expression, or you can't fully express all that you are as you are without feeling any emotions of repercussion or whatever that's coming up as anxiety, or like as sudden doubt, self-doubt, or fear. So that's the complete removal, obliteration of that energy. So that's where we're moving into after 888 for certain individuals, especially the individuals in the pioneer group. So right now the energy is very divided. So for this group, the girls group, they're doing their individual things like globally. They're doing it like they're still very popular like individually, but they're more assimilated into the American and European cultural stuff. They collaborate with a lot of these other artists in US and working in Hollywood. I don't know what their specific sole purposes are. I know one of them has a spiritual is a high priestess. So I don't know what their purposes are. So so this group, they created their own individual entertainment company. So they're not part of any other big entertainment company. But then on a whole group, they're still contracted with this old entertainment company that they used to work with. And it's their 10th anniversary, and nothing has been posted about the event of the 10th anniversary celebration, nothing. And just yesterday I received a message. These messages do not, like, I don't search for it, just shows and I recognize. And one of the fans, not from Korea but somewhere outside of Korea, like China or something, came to that entertainment company's building angry with the golf club and just smashing the window and the front door, which is made of glass, like this, because out of anger. um, and then she got caught right away by the bodyguard that was there. And so since then, they organized, like in maybe like a couple of days, and that they will get together, and then it was just very shabby is the word, just very like horridly put together in one of these like Korean National Museum. And behind, even there is just a sign of another exhibition that was about the Thailand culture or something like that. It's still there, and they just got there like 4 people, and they are doing the live just for 15 minutes thanking their fans and apologizing, one of the members. And one of the members was the only one mostly talking. All three others were like very quiet. And they had a little cake. And it was just a really funny, funny like show, like in the last minute, because this girl was like putting on a show, like acting crazy. On the last minute, they all flew in from where they were, like outside Korea, got together for a few hours, and they flew back out. Basically, it's like a show. And then the division is, we still love you, versus how can you do this to us? This is like a joke and blah blah blah, like a lot of negativity. So these things are going to take place more and more, dividing people into two. And this is with a purpose. So this will happen in a lot of the political scenes, a lot of the entertainment, a lot of the other sports right now, the World Cup, and all of these things. To really look into the duality aspects of the shadow, the matrix that we've been living in. And people are going to react extremely in two opposites, which represents this new earth and then so-called old earth in human language sense, for understanding purposes. You see what I mean? Because unconditional love means, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but the fans who are attached to them so much, they feel betrayed. You see what I mean? And they can do whatever they want, these members, right? If they want to celebrate, they can celebrate. If they want to, you know, do their own thing, they can do their own thing. It's their sovereign power and freedom. But because of the codependent relationship with the fans, and that's how they grew the business in, especially in entertainment Korea. Even though the fan base energy is like really genuine passion and love, a lot of the times it created, they used, it's like basically they're using each other. The fans use the idol groups, the idols groups use the fans basically. And they're doing this in the name of love. And they may do this in the name of love, and they may have genuine intention and heart at times, but on a subconscious level, there are so many codes and patterns of codependency dominating every individual involved. They're still in that dynamic. You see what I mean? Meaning they're not recognizing what they're doing exactly. And they believe that it's love. They believe it's this and that. And they are afraid of losing their fans. They're afraid of doing this. And they have to overcome this to level up. And that's what this other group, the BTS, they faced this fear. And they somehow sort of processed it and put it into their latest album right now. So I don't know how they're going to make the decisions on a soul level. Because because every individuals, they also have the free will, so it's up to them. Just I hope that they remain strong, because they are the disruptor at this time. Because of their move, at least it's creating a discussion, or it's creating a disruption in people's minds. And everyone was thinking about, yeah, that's right, imagine you are working at this place and all of a sudden they're creating, it's like the minority versus majority, that kind of idea. And I didn't know, like recently they had me see this interview, brief like real interview, shorts interview of this Korean baseball player who used to play in a major league in US. He was like one of the first Korean players. which was very rare at the time. And he explained how difficult his situation was when he was in minor league in US. And then he explained that even in minor league, they have all these hierarchies or these separates based on your level that you belong to within the minor league. So if you're at the bottom level, then you only get to eat. You are provided with like basically bread and butter. Like it's just like peanut butter sandwich type of meal is provided. I don't know about now, but that was what it was like back then, I guess, and he was sharing that. And then when you're on another level, you get a little bit more, and then you get a little bit more, and then you, so there was like an 8 different levels or something within the minor league. And once you move to major league, it's a different treatment. So it's no different than caste system in India. And just yesterday, one of this Indian girl who speaks very good Korean, so I guess she's living and working in Korea. So now, right now, the trends that I see for the past 10 years gradually, but it was very fast moving since 24. 2024 is coming right now. Interesting. But I've been noticing these movements for the past 10 years. But Gaia and Source coming through right now since 2024. I've been witnessing this in China, Korea, all these different so-called Asian countries, and Eastern Asia so-called getting mixed up. So right now, this generation has grown up. So they're now in their 20s. So their parents are either one is Korean, the other is Nigerian or something like that, or they're both Russian, but they moved to Korea. So the child is born in Korea, so they grew up in Korea. So it's like they don't speak Russian, they don't speak English, they only speak Korean, but they look like Russian with blonde hair or something like that, or even like a kid looking perfectly black person. He doesn't know he doesn't speak English, doesn't speak sort of the language from their country in Africa where their ancestors are from, but they only speak Korean. But they don't look like Korean. So this one girl was sharing that she's like Italian or like a more like West European descent, and she feels like she's a stranger, outsider. She's always an outsider in Korea, even though she was born in Korea, she grew up in Korea, and her accent and the way she speaks is totally Korean. By the way, but people always ask them where are they from, and that question made them feel like they're an outsider. So that's the question that they're facing right now, and these individuals are facing these questions on purpose on a soul level, so they can go into their identity and realize it's not the place, it's not the color of your skin, it's not how you appear, but it's the soul. It's who you are. And it's not about the culture. So I kind of experienced this too, you know, when I went to high school in US. That high school, I was the only Korean, which was very rare, which was on purpose on a soul level. And it was mostly dominantly white. We only had like 2 or 3 black kids in each grade. It was not a big school, it was a public school, but that neighborhood was very exclusive. And so I was the outsider when I went to that school. I got a lot of great education and great teachers, and I got a lot of like opportunities to play sports, which I really wanted to, but I was always, the outsider, which was part of my soul experience, to observe everything, also to reflect on myself through that period of isolation, which was designed on purpose. So I kind of lived with kind of the sense of loneliness. I remember, and also I didn't want to go back to Korea. At the time, I wanted to continue my education in U.S. So, but then my dad had to go back to his job after like 3 years. So I don't know where it came from at the time. I talked to my guidance counselor that I wanted to graduate in 3 years, and I wanted to know whether it was possible. So I don't know where that idea was coming from, but it was all divinely guided. So I asked her, and she said, "You can take all these classes more and get all the credits to qualify to graduate, and you can try that." So I decided to try that, and I told my parents I'm going to graduate. So either then, it's not going to affect my parents that much because I will graduate from high school anyways, and then I can choose whether to go to university in Korea or here. So I remember, because I made that choice, I was in between grades. I never belonged to ninth grade when I was taking all the ninth grade classes. When I was taking all the 10th grade classes, I didn't really belong to 10th grade. When I was in like my last year, I took all the classes, never belonged to any grades. You know what I mean? Because of that particular situation. That was all on purpose. And so, and also, when I went back to Korea, I didn't realize that my Korean accent has changed because I was completely isolated for like 3.5 years in US without any Korean cultural exchange. So, I guess I spoke like little kids who forgot a little bit of Korean. So I was about to like, it was easier for me to like have the English words out, or I was dreaming in English, like that kind of stuff. And then, but I didn't feel like I was fully like Americanized. But a lot of the times I was, because I was spending my time in my teenage years there. And I prefer more of that American music and culture and films more than like Korean stuff back then. And then when I came back to Korea, everyone was like, "Oh, like you have this like slight accent when you speak this word," or I was using old Korean words or something like that. And they had their own high school culture that I couldn't relate to when they were talking about it. So there was some sort of, there was a word like identity crisis. Like it wasn't severe, but it just made me feel like I never belonged to any group, which was all my life basically. Um, so basically, my lunch hour, I ate alone basically, or I had to buy food and bring that to my class. It was allowed to eat during class in my school. So I remember getting the food quickly because I didn't have time for lunch hour because I had to take more classes. And then I would eat during class, or if I had the time to eat in the cafeteria, it was just my schedule was off, and I was like in the minority group. A lot of they weren't like bullying. There was no bullying, anything like that, but more like isolation. There was like a separation between international kids and the white Jewish kids, so to speak. There were different cliques, which is very common in US. I don't know about now. Now probably it's more cross culture, and the kids with have different consciousness codes when they come into Earth. But back then it was very much different. And so, yeah, I remember I was picked as like a kind of a like kind of a student case to visit this other school next next door neighborhood, which is another huge school. That school was huge. But then they interviewed me whether I experienced any discrimination. And they were like doing some research and they were interviewing me, and I wasn't feeling like overly discriminated, but I was feeling this discrimination. So I don't know how to explain that. It was like they don't say anything to me on my face, or they're not doing it, but we don't talk. You see, it's like a invisible segregation or separation that was existing in the school. So I remember like just, at first I took ESL. So there were a lot of students from different countries. So I used to talk to them, but they would leave soon, like after a year or two. So the friendship would never really last. And I don't know, it was very a lonely time when I was in high school, but I didn't really I was like an observer. Like I just observed everything. But that sense of aloneness that I always carried with me in this entire life. At home, at school, everywhere I went. So that was my purpose to study. That was my purpose, to not be part of my soul group in this lifetime. No particular friends that I could really relate to, or I was always like more of a helper, like a counselor. I don't know why I was always had these friends who were asking me for advice about they like someone and what should I do, or they have this problem. I was like a problem solver. I was always listening to their problems and trying to help them out. So that like kind of a role. So I was like, I remember at one point I was like, why am I always the one who's trying to be in this role? Wherever I have a friendship, I end up being in that, playing that role. But that was on purpose. But going through and living through that life was not easy. You always had to live with a sense of loneliness. That was not really like on an emotional level, but on a subconscious level, more repressed. Like I had times where I would go out with friends, partying and just socializing, but always at the end of the day, I was coming back and I could relate to no one. Nobody could relate, nobody would get me, basically. So I could be a good socializer, or how can I say? But it was never like remained consistent or prolonged. It's like I would meet new people and talk to them, and we just like get along and we have fun, but like they're different. I come home and I would be deeply philosophical, processing, reflecting on life. So I don't go back to partying the next day. I need to be alone, processing everything. And this is something that I cannot relate to. Something like that. So there were different stages and times in my life, but that's basically how I lived all my life. More like an outsider looking in. And through that experience, I was also able to look into myself. So that's also the energy that we are moving into right now. That you need to, that isolation also means sorrow on earth, on a human emotional level sense. So when you are alone, you feel sad, or there's a sense of sorrow or that sadness. existing. That's the energy that you need to live with or deal with. Or when you cut cords, when you move away from certain relationships or even places, workplaces, houses, whatever, neighborhoods, countries, cities, you have to look into this, that you do not belong anywhere kind of feeling, but like you belong to yourself. So that's the energy that we need to embody to come. So coming home within, that's your heaven on earth within. So that's what we've been working since the 8-8 portal in 2024, 2025, 2026. Home sweet home. So you come home to yourself. So wherever you are yourself. You are the safe home. So that there are no restrictions, no limitations, or no things that could make you repress who you are, so that you can express, you see, fully yourself as you are. And that's the energy of lightness. You feel light. All these things that you wanted to say, you couldn't say, you hold it in, hold it in. For whatever reason. It could be a fear, insecurity, whatever. It's holding you back. It's making you repress. And all of a sudden, you express it outwardly. It's making you feel light. It makes you feel light. You can remain light whenever you do that. So that's the energy that we've been working on, that from this moment of lunar eclipse, we are freed. You're fully expressing yourself as who you are. And there are going to be huge dual separation, division between what the fuck is she doing, or what the fuck, or this other one really getting inspired by the energy, or that energy they're taking on as a positive aspect for them to elevate and level up or express more of who they are. So these two separations, meaning what the fuck group is more like still in duality judgment. They're judging what's supposed to, what's not supposed to, based on good and bad. That is based on the definitions or conditioned ideas, beliefs, and patterns they've been programmed with. You see what I mean? So the duality, the division will show up. So another thing they also want me to mention and signify is the word that is coming, is about the energy of jealousy that is very heavy on earth at this time due to consciousness that we've been holding. So basically jealousy is you're automatically expecting the worst. You're automatically expecting that situation or that person will betray you. So that's why in advance you act jealous, you act possessive. You see what I mean? That's also tied to insecurities, meaning it's a collective wound and trauma that is connected to the matrix energy of the mother wounds of trust, mistrust, distrust. This is huge. The betrayals, because it's all rooted out of survival era. So the survival era created huge suspicion energy in individuals. So that's why they get jealous. Because on a subconscious level, they're not realizing that they're already assuming that they're going to be betrayed or that they're going to be this screwed. And so they have to one up on them, or they have to take them down, or they have to secure them, possess them, hold on tight, however it is. It's all connected. You see the connection, the comparison, and all this. So we usually say it's competitiveness, jealousy, comparison, but it's all tied into the energy of distrust that is connected to the heart and the sacral in connection. The heart is defensive, it's closed off. You cannot trust anybody. And that's why on earth at this time, when someone exhibits the energy of innocence as like a childlike innocence, brightness and goofiness, silliness, or this like very carefree energy, they immediately assume that as a weakness, and they're triggered to take advantage of that because they see that as a resource, a weak resource that they can easily manipulate and take advantage of. You see what I mean? So at this time, that's the dominant consciousness, but they don't understand that the energy of innocence, the purity, is one of the highest vibrations, high vibrational frequency. That's why a lot of the adults like, oh, that when I'm with babies or the child, they have so much healing energy. They like to be around them. Why? Because they have that high vibrational frequency. They want to get into that energy, get hooked. So that's what's happening. So a lot of these triggers or these reactions are going to show or be revealed to themselves. It's just their shadow, like projected in front of them through this triggering agent. They need to work on it, but they're not going to a lot of the times. That's where my shorts video, the latest shorts video came, that you can, you may get triggered, but what are you going to do with that gift or this opportunity? So that's where a lot of these, the level of consciousness still there, the lower level of consciousness. So it's all tied into this. They see someone who's expressing themselves, who's creating for themselves, living a certain life, and it's like that's the infinity. They have tapped into their infinite potentiality within them. They took the chances. They looked into their shadow, everything integrated. That means they have more light. You see what I mean? And if someone has a lot of shadow and still tucked into them, it's like when the sun is very strong on a beach, let's say, and there's nothing, and then you see the parasol. The more the sun gets stronger, what's going to happen? I was connecting with this energy when I was in Indonesia in 2024 in July. That's coming through again. I was guided to go to this beach. It's not Bali. It's not. It's another city in the middle of Indonesia. I was guided to stay there for like a week or so, a few days or something like that at the time. And I went to this beach that they had me connect 2 years prior, and I went there. It was very different from what I saw on TV. But then there was nobody, and it was scorching hot. And there was this parasols in the middle of it. No one was there because it was too hot. But I was connecting with the earth, the ocean, and the sun. And it's like they can't hide anymore. Like I saw the shadow getting smaller and smaller. Or the shadow is becoming more visible to the eye, and the sun is behind the clouds. The distinction between the light and the shadow disappears. It's more like submerged is the word into the shadow or the dark altogether, so you cannot see. But when the sun comes or reappears, you see the shadow very distinctively. So that's the analogy that is coming, or the codes that's coming. So that's very much what is happening right now during this solar eclipse, lunar eclipse portal is what is coming. So the division will be more distinct. So okay, all of a sudden Oppenheimer is coming through again. So what's it got to do with Oppenheimer? What's it got to do with Oppenheimer? World War II timelines. So we need to really look into our egoic aspect once again is what is coming. All the results of war or the cause of war was because of man's ambition, egoic desires, attachments. So all of these issues are all coming up to the surface. And okay, what is coming is that World War II timelines is related to 888 portal. This portal is going to dissolve that timeline, dissolve that parallel timeline. Dissolve it, dissolve it, dissolve the timeline is what is coming. That's why this portal 888 is so big right now. It's huge in that sense. It's dissolving all those timelines. As individuals are stepping up to merge with their higher self, integrate their monad, to co-create whatever that is, the builder of the new earth. And that's happening with the splitting of that timeline in a human language sense for translation purposes, you see, or understanding purposes at this time on earth. Even though it's more complex than that is what is coming. So that timeline will be dissolved, and it's not going to affect this new split that is taking place. So one task has been done is what is coming. That task of the concerns that I've been talking about the past few months, the parallel timelines affecting this highest timeline. That was the issue that we were working on as light workers. Now it's fully resolved is what is coming. Okay, so that's good news. But on the outside or physical world sense, what you see visibly, it may seem like that we are elevating right now, because there's going to be a huge distinction of division between light and darkness. It's going to be more apparent. It's going to be more very visible to the eye as the separation takes place after the lunar eclipse this year in August is what is coming for me to share. So the message is that don't get distracted by what you see. That matrix energy is that once you clear that out, you are creating a whole new reality from your sacral. The mother matrix, you're birthing. And by that eggs, the huevos from the chicken, you have already birthed. Okay, energetic egg is coming. So in the energetic realm. Okay, so I forgot about this, and all of a sudden it's coming up again. So-called manifestations, right? A lot of people do this intentionally. A lot of people have a strong attachment to whatever that they're trying to manifest. It's all out of their ego. It's not aligned with their higher purposes or soul purpose or highest timeline. But a lot of these things are being taught and spreaded and being worshipped in the spiritual community. And I share this from time to time. I believe for the past 3 years, from time to time. When you're aligned with your higher self, you have an intention, but it's not out of the ego. You do not formulate it. It comes to you. That's the difference. So that's why your intuition needs to be open, and you need to connect with it to be able to connect with higher self first. So if you're disregarding your intuition, if you're distrusting your intuition, or if you're constantly suspecting your intuition, doubting it, you are to look into your shadow first, and first open that up. And then that's how you can connect or listen better, or integrate or merge better with your higher self. So basically that you can easily manifest things with formula, affirmations, or visualizations, imaginations. You may experience them showing up in your physical reality, but it's not truly yours, meaning it's all out of the ego. It's not from your higher self. So that's a big difference that you need to discern. Then the question will be, then if I don't know what I want, if I don't have any picture, how can I manifest? That's when you need to listen without knowing, with open canvas, until something comes to you. You see? So that's a very different approach, but you have to sit with that idea. I experimented this when in, I believe, 2016 or something like that? I wasn't even like awake, like had that spiritual awakening experience in 28, like before, it was before 2018, but around then, even like from 2014, all of a sudden I started to have this dreams, like how do you say, like what's the, it's like, I forget the word, I can't think of the word, but like I just see things in my dream time about a person or about what's going to happen the next day. I see the exact scenario and it happens the next day, or it happens in a week, or it happens with someone that I know, like that kind of thing. And I could read the energy signature or something like that even back then. So I always had this kind of abilities, but there were a lot of shadow that was clouding that. But from, I think it was like 2015 or something like that, it all of a sudden started to become very very clear. And in 2016, like all of a sudden, I knew about the word manifestation, but it never really, like, I never really got it. I was like, what is manifestation? They talk about you do this, do that, visualization, and blah, blah. But like, what is it? Like, I didn't really get it, and that's how I was operating all the time since birth. I would always question the meaning of, like, what the fuck is integrity? What do you mean by honesty? Like be honest, they say, but what do you mean by that? You know, like, I didn't get it. Like, I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, I was in search of the deeper meaning or the essence of it, get to the bottom of it or something. Unless I did that, I couldn't process it, and it took years of my life to get the meaning of it, because I needed to go through certain experiences. And then, like, that's what it means. What do you mean commitment? What do you mean accountability? Like, I kind of get it, but like I don't get it kind of idea. So Yeah, I decided to experiment with the word manifestation, and they say you got to visualize, you got to feel it like in a movie or something. So I created a scenario and I went into it like every day, maybe like half an hour or even more, like because when I get into it, time doesn't exist, you know? So I would like really visualize the same scene over and over, over and over, over and over. It was like in a movie that I would feel everything. And I have the exact line that person was saying or the situation. Like because they have to say like you got to be really detailed. Um, and I would spend my time every day, maybe doing it for like a entire month or something. But when you are in it, like you enjoy it because you're like in it. And then after 2 or 3 months later, I was like, what the fuck? It was the exact situation. And then the person was just saying the exact line, just like in a movie, just like how I visualized. Exact word for word. And I already expected when the situation was happening in a physical reality, oh, that the person is about to say this. I was like, huh, this proved something to me at the time. It was more like I treated more like an experimentation, more like a side passion project when I was working. And I was like, this is this is how it works. But then it just didn't work. After like a month or so, it just disappeared like out of thin air. Um, because that was what I kind of visualized, but I didn't have the energy to sustain it. And at the same time, intuitively, I realized I created that out of my ego. And even though I didn't know what higher timeline, I had no idea what Ascension was or the new earth or even any of the spiritual so-called terms or like chakra, whatever. Like I had no knowledge or whatsoever, no encounter. But then my soul already knew that I'm not meant to like visualize and do this kind of manifestations. So that's what I figured out. It was also on a soul purpose, divinely guided. And so since that moment that I realized, I stopped any of this like you do this like you create all these details and visualize. That was never how I moved, because I knew that I'm creating out of my ego. Um, so that was something very interesting for me to experience. That was divinely guided for me to share in this particular time in 2026. So this is like the first time that I'm sharing this in my entire life. I had that experience. I never shared it with anyone, but this is the first time. So that's the difference between creating with your ego and creating with your higher self. You do not create the scenario, you do not write the script, which is more like a counterintuitive. But that's the idea that we need to go into, is what I'm going to share. That's the new level of consciousness that we need to embody in order to build new earth. We cannot create the script out of the ego. You can still create that, but you can still do that and live in the old earth is what is coming for me to share, because it's not in match to the higher vibration. So okay, this may create a lot of division among people. You may have different opinions. I agree, disagree, or have an opinion of I have this perspective, I have that experience. If you have that, if you're triggered with that, it's all valid for you. You see what I mean? That's the full, authentic expression of individuals. We accept everything. We allow everything. We honor everything. We respect everything. All perspectives. That's unconditionality. So you can have that. It's valid for you. It may not be valid for me. And you can have that, you believe that, and what I'm saying may not be valid for you, and it's fine. But the higher consciousness is that you respect it, you allow it, you honor that. Okay, that person has that perspective and that experience. Okay, I have this experience, I have this difference, but I allow them. It's for them to have that, you know, that kind of, it's going to stir the pot. You see what I mean? So that's what happened with that 10th anniversary situation with the K-pop girl group. That yeah, if they're happy, they're doing whatever that they're doing individually, that's fine. We support them, we still love them, or we thank them that they're organized this in the last minute. The other group is like, what the fuck, how can they do that, and they're this and that. They start to go into attacking individual things now. So it's nothing about this event. Now they're just blurting their negativity out towards attacking all these different members about their characters, about how they are, about they looked like this, they should look sad, or they should look apologetic, or they were trying to do this and she almost looked like she was about to cry, and they're arguing about it. So all these like things. And the truth is, these people who are talking negative, they will never have the guts to say the same thing to the person face to face. You see what I mean? They never. Most of the times they never do that. And that's why the more people who can't do that, they're louder. They're the loudest group in shadow. So they do this in hiding. So I experienced this. It's like this. There was a shorts. So she was a Chinese girl living in. She was a African. Meaning like black skin, dark skin, however you resonate. That she is from Africa, or parents from Africa, and somehow she speaks fluent Chinese. I don't know about her background, but she doesn't look Chinese. She looks from Nigeria or Ethiopia or something like that, right? And she could understand what the Chinese people are saying in Chinese. So she like held a camera like in a bathroom, and they were talking about her. Like these two ladies were talking about, oh, look at her ass, and look at how she's like, her hair, and I always wonder, and blah blah blah. And she said she listened to everything, she understood everything, and she said, aunties, I can understand what you're saying, and just spoke that in Chinese. And these two women literally ran out the window and came back laughing, embarrassed, ran out physically. So that's what they're doing in hiding. They always do this in hiding, unless they go crazy. They act out like that girl who's bringing that golf club, and just that's more like mentally ill state. But most people, they do this in hiding. That's why there's a lot of gossiping going on, manipulation, and having two-face and stuff like that, right? Though we all know that. I also experienced this with one of my family members when I shared exactly what was happening line by line. That person just ran off, just got up and went into the room. And I was like, even though I was not talking to that person, I was talking to another person about the situation. And that person just And so they don't have the guts, meaning they're in so much fear. They don't have that confidence to speak to the person, but they're doing this in hiding. So that's just the nature of shadow and the light. But the light is growing and growing since this 888. You see what's going to do that to people. You see what I mean? So right now it's more like, if you do that, if you are saying this and creating all these things and spreading rumors, reveal your identity. Show who you are to the public. Show yourself and, you know, your name and your family and address, everything. You know, that's what people are saying nowadays. It's like they can't take it anymore. But they won't, because they feel most comfortable doing that in hiding. So that's the energy. Is there anything else that you want me to share? Okay. So I was going to talk about the 2032. So since 2012, we entered into the whole new cycle on Gaia. So the transformation, transition to golden age will take place like for the 20 years period. And then from 2030 to 2050 will be like the really golden, what is the word? So we are like in a bridge. So this whole period is a golden rainbow bridge, the rainbow portal. But that energy has been available more in the last few, since 2022 is what is coming, 2023. And from 2030 to 2050 will be another open window period where it's going to be more like people living on all the dreams will be realized during the time, as what has been coming for me. When I woke up, that message that came to me on the day of 8/8 in the morning when I woke up. So that was the very first message that I received from the Greys, the benevolent Greys, that's working on the Ascension at this time, working together with Gaia, Source. They're more like the hybrid generation of the human beings in later future timeline, basically, but they're helping this transformation of Gaia because it's affecting their timeline and all other things around. So that's why this ascension, transition, and transformation is huge in the universe. So why do they? So this pioneer group will start to live that dream coming true from this point onwards, to showcase what is possible for the rest of the group and in the collective. But that's going to create a lot of stir-ups and divisions and stuff like that. That's why the strongest souls are in this pioneer group. They have gone through many different experiences. Despite how they appear, where they are from, how their experiences are, these souls not just been prepared for this lifetime, but many lifetimes. And they have very experienced in other galaxies. So you will know who you are if you resonate. So these souls are going to live that 30 to 50 window period during this transitional period through 32 to showcase. That's what they signed up to do contractually on a soul level. So they've been working very hard. It's likely they had a very difficult life especially in this lifetime. Especially in this lifetime. This lifetime was not like a resting lifetime, meaning like they need a break, so they choose to have a very peaceful, non-eventful life. No, this life, you do a lot of the karmic work, you clear a lot, you carry a lot, all on purpose is what is coming. So you have come to release everything, integrate, and now this 888 portal represents the infinity in anything, but you're not creating out of ego because you have merged yourself with your higher self. You're no longer creating or manifesting or that idea, because manifesting simply means that what you think and feel and intend, you're creating all the time. It's negative, you're creating. Positive, you're creating. But that word manifesting that we use a lot nowadays, generally in the past, I don't know, maybe 5 years, but longer than that, more like used in a spiritual community sense, that word has been tied to material goal, making more money, getting more recognition, getting more power over in society, whatever that means. So right now, these things are still taking place. And so these groups who have merged with their higher self, connecting with their monad, is on a totally different vibrational frequency, meaning consciousness. And they will start to express fully, 100%, fully of who they are, with no fear, is what is coming. And they will live their dreams, meaning they will show what it will be like in the future timelines of 2030 and 2050 now. How it's possible for individuals to live. Heaven on earth energy, the home within energy that I've been sharing constantly for us to work on. You see what I mean? But then right now the overall energy is very dense still, so it's going to create a lot of divisions, hatred, negativity, a lot of jealousy on purpose. So just understand, it's all kind of a package together. Your soul purpose is what is coming. And another thing that you want to they want me to share is that just because someone is famous on TV, or they're on TV a lot, their names are everywhere, or they won the Grammy, or they're this best actor for Academy Awards or something like that, don't trust them. You see what I mean? They use the celebrity marketings for a lot of things to attract more investors for financial instruments, like certain funds that they create with tied to entertainment industry. They recruit all these top celebrities or well-known names, and then they use that in marketing, and they're like, oh, this person also is part of this investor, they're this investor, they're this, all these names. And sometimes it's fake, sometimes it's real. And then this attracts a lot of other groups, like, oh, celebrities, and they did that, and they immediately trust, and they get scammed, even though it's a huge fund involving a lot of big names. You see what I mean? So I think about a month ago when I was in Tokyo, they had me, like the daughter of Bill Gates, she created this company, and it's like a kind of a paper company basically. And the structure behind it was stealing other data or other things from other companies. That's how they created this, like the whole system, or the bots. And she used, like, they were using celebrity names because Bill Gates has a name at this time, and then they were pulling all this money or the funds, and that's how she was making money, or something of that nature. And all of a sudden, this Jay-Z has invested in the Korean, one of the big Korean asset companies is Mira Assets. I know this company. They sell a lot of funds and all this intricate financial instruments. And he became the investor, major investor. It's like kind of a K-pop funds. So K-pop is becoming so big, and now like he invested his money into it, to creating these funds, and it's to hype it up, and also he's chipping in because he wants to make money with whatever that's popular and trending right now. So that's the old way. It's not using this money to help other people, but it's more out of his ambition, is what's the energy that was coming through, building his own empire. You see what I mean? So that was his energy at the time, or how he grew up with the consciousness. So usually these souls may have this very okay, I'm not to go into too much details into it, okay? So that's what is taking place right now. So just because someone is blah blah blah, we have this mentality, they use that. But sovereign power is that you exercise, you intuit. Even though everyone likes that person in the room, and like, oh, she has a good reputation, or he has blah 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 blah. When your energy, when your intuition says no, you gotta trust it. It's a no. Energy never lies. You see what I mean? Frequency never lies. You can't hide energy, or you can't hide frequencies. So that's how you tune in, build trust. And once you trust that, you stop comparing, you stop jealousing or envying, because you have your root, you have your resource inside you, with you, in your root chakra. You're feeling safe and secure at home. So you're not to constantly like try to find a place outside in the world. Where do I belong? You see what I mean? That's where it comes from, identity crisis. Where do I belong? Everybody wants to belong somewhere. I belong to this school. I belong to this group. I belong to this family. I belong to this last name. I belong to this ethnic groups. I belong to this nationality. So that's something that you need to look into. So I just received a message that I have 15% battery. So I'm gonna wrap up my video here. So whatever that message that you resonated, I hope that if you're connecting with it, I'm glad I made this video, and I appreciate you for appreciating my work and all these videos. So with that, I wish you a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my other videos. Bye.